Hello everyone, the Obsessed Garage Drying Aid is here. We've already had our first batch out in the wild and it seems to be received quite well. I'm going to tell you a little bit of the story of how this came about, and then we'll do a quick wash and then show you how to do this, show you how to put it on, at least how I put it on, and I'm sure you guys will share your experience on the Facebook group and on your various videos and stuff that people tend to make on this stuff. So it comes in 32 ounce, so it comes like this in a Tolco bottle, and we have a red stopper in there and a cap on it, and we call these our temporary labels, which are pretty freaking nice temporary labels. And it also comes with a Tolco chemical resistant sprayer. We don't need the chemical resistance here for this product, but I like this gray sprayer the best. I think it atomizes the best. And so in normal fashion, when you buy it, it comes like this. And it comes with the, I think they call this a J-handle gallon, which these have been used for a number of years. And then ultimately, it's unavailable at the time of me making this video, but ultimately we'll be bottling it and shipping it to you in a Press-All bottle. This is the Press-All household sprayer. I actually modify this and put an industrial spray head on top of here, but we'll be having various Press-All versions and also having Drying Aid labels as well, with either Obsessed Garage logo or not, depending on how you want it. We're still battling adhesive and things on these, so this is coming. This is how I use it. This is how I've been testing it. I think this is the best way to use the product. But and you could, when you catch these in stock, I ordered another 4,000 of them this week. When you catch it in stock, then you can put together your own little system. But these are coming, I promise. I've just had several conference calls with Press-All about bringing over multiple containers at a time, and so we'll have these soon. So how this came about, my goal is not to make private labeled products. I really don't have any interest in that. I didn't frickin' mix this stuff up in my bathtub. There's a tote behind me with, with whatever the B&B brand is, B&B Blending, which was owned by Adams, and now Adams is owned by a Canadian large chemical manufacturer. The B&B private labels products, same thing with Warner. There's a bunch of blenders throughout the country. P&S, the P&S products you see in the store are actually blended and sold, manufactured by P&S. But the product came about or the formulation that we have here is a little bit different than the base Slipstream. Slipstream has the B&B version of it has a scent and a color. I think theirs is an orange, and then it has I don't remember what the scent was, but it wasn't life-changing enough, the scent, to warrant the deficiencies of it. This gallon's been sitting here for a few days. You won't get the film and buildup in your bottle and the staining of your bottle. You also won't get staining like I found on the prototype Slipstream product they sent me when I took the front lip off the Tesla. Actually, let me be honest, when the front lip ripped off the Tesla backing out of the garage here and split into 500 pieces, I could then see the staining of the clear coat that I had to polish off underneath where the lip was. And then that really solidified it for me. So let's take the color out. It was ruining my Press-All bottles, and let's just get rid of the scent too, because it made the product a little less stable. And so we have an unscented. It has a bit of a vinegar type scent it'll start to get over time, but if you're not sticking your nostrils on your drying towel or trying to sniff it on the car, it's really pretty unscented, and then you won't have any of the byproduct of it. So that's just something I chose. We're not babies here. We don't need to be spoon-fed. We don't need frickin' colors and pretty colors and beautiful scents. Let's just keep it frickin' simple here and get rid of the cons outweigh the pros for me. So and it's sometimes fun. Like GSF smells great, but for this, the byproduct was that I was getting some, negatives to it, so we pulled that out. So we're going to show you how to use this thing. We're going to cut to me, running through the wash process here. You are going to want some towels, which we'll talk about in the wash process. You're going to want these towels as well. This is my favorite combo for drying. And if you follow my process, the better the conditions you have, meaning if you have air conditioning, it would be the ultimate. If you had air conditioning in your garage when you're drying, that's the best results you're going to get. But I have found that out in the elements, where the wind is blowing and it's not so nice outside with lots of humidity, the product's going to work well. A couple of other benefits to this: you don't have to use as much. You'll have less issues with smearing, and you won't have drying where it'll dry dots on your surface if it's windy outside. You'll just find that your user experience is going to be better than pretty much any other drying aid I've ever used. Expectations are, use this. I don't use this as a standalone product. I don't use it as a detail spray. I'm simply using it as a lubrication agent, as well as adding an extra sacrificial layer that I expect to last a week. It probably lasts longer than that, but I expect it to last a week. I don't know what's in here. B&B wouldn't tell me even if I asked. I'd be making it up. It's some variant of water and silicon dioxide. So there's some SiO2 in there. Doesn't matter how much. Doesn't matter what's in it. It just frickin' works. I wish that they would allow me to fly out there and they show me how they make it. I want to know that, but they don't tell you that kind of stuff. That's the funny part about all this bottling and private labeling nonsense, is we don't actually know what's in it. The only people who know what's in it are the guys that make it, and even if you are private labeling it, generally they don't want to share that with you, so you don't go and try to make it yourself, which is understandable. So let's get to the wash process, and I'll show you how to use it. So you guys have seen me do this wash process a ton of times, doing the wheels. I'm going to use some brake buster in a foam cannon. In this case, I got lazy and just used the Easy Detail large brush to clean up the surface of the wheel. I generally like to use the Incredibrush, especially on a glossy wheel. This is a matte finish, and so oftentimes I'll get lazy and just use the Easy Detail, clean up the calipers, and then I'll grab the Race Glaze brush, the Race Glaze XL, and hit the lugs, the lug area, and always kind of hit the valve stem, and then try to get some of the cracks and crevices of the caliper. After that, I'm going to spritz a little bit more of undiluted P&S brake buster in my Press-All bottle. I'm using the Tough Shine brush to clean up the tire surface, and of course I use my lambskin mitt to knock out the face of the wheel and get as much of the cracks and crevices as possible. And then of course we're going to rinse the thing. Let's get the wheel rinsed. This is the most important part with a carbon ceramic wheel, is you really want to knock that out. After we get the wheels done and we knocked out the exhaust tips, then we're going to rinse the car. I'm going to foam it using 150 milliliters of GSF diluted in about 600 milliliters of water. So I'm going to fill my foam cannon up 3/4 of the way, make sure it's mixed up really well, foam the car, use the excess, dump it in my wash bucket. I put about 3 or 4 ounces of additional soap in the wash bucket, and I'm using my Incredipad XL, getting the wash bucket prepared. Rinse bucket's already been filled, and then we're going to go and wash the car. Using the Incredipad XL, take the pad, dunk it in your rinse bucket first, pull back to your wash bucket, grab some fresh soap, and you're going to work from top down. Start on the roof and work your way, work in small sections, flipping the pad when necessary. Don't do too large of an area, and then basically I'm hoping to dislodge the dirt and lift some of it off, go back to my rinse bucket, swash the pad around, getting the bulk of the junk off of it, go back to my wash bucket, and repeat the process till we finish the car. I'm going to hit the door jambs as well with my at the very end with my pad, and then I'm going to dump out the buckets, put them aside, and rinse the car. And then I'll grab my leaf blower, and that's where we're going to pick up the drying process and show you how to do this. All right, so drying, first step in the drying process is to blow the car off. My favorite is the Ego 580. I don't think they make this anymore. I think the new version is the 615. This is coming to OG really soon. This is the Apex Air Stubby, and I got to get some ear protection because these things are really shrill and really, really loud. This is how you want to do this, and this is the beauty of this stuff, is that it's, you know, I love Beadmaker, I've been a big proponent of it, but this is way easier. We don't have to layer it on thick, just spritz some of it on there. You've seen, you know, the car still has some water on it, but we blew off 90% of it. And so you're going to use the drying towel 3.0, this guy, and you're going to have in your other hand, you're going to have the low pile drying aid towel. And I'm generally going to start in the top of the car, and I'm going to treat reasonable size sections. So I'm going to do half of the top of the car at once. And you can choose to do it a couple of different ways. The problem with doing it this way and spraying half is that I'm going to have some overspray when I spray the other half. So it just depends on what your conditions are like. If you're outside, you probably want to do this. You probably want to do a you know, smaller sections, do it quicker. But because I'm in now the dehumidified air conditioning, I can take my time. So I'm doing the bulk, the first swipes with this towel, the big towel, and then I take the little towel and I come back and I finish it off. And you don't want to, this won't streak as much, at least I haven't noticed streaking, but you want to wipe it dry. And so that's where this towel comes in, this final wipe, is I want to make sure that I've gotten the flash, because it'll leave, like, you know, when you do this towel, it'll leave it's not really flashing like a coating would. I don't know what other word to use, but it, you just want to remove all the residual. I don't think it's imperative that you obsess over it, but I think that you do want to wipe it dry. That's where you're going to get the best result. And I've noticed I'm using it on the trim, I'm using it on the windows, I'm using it on the windshield, I'm using it on everything. So you saw when I was drying, or when I was washing the car, you saw some of the results. I mean, I don't intend to use this at all, ever, as a standalone product. So I really don't care about longevity, so I can't really comment to that. It doesn't really matter, because I'm washing my car every week. You know, I washed this car last week. I'm washing it this week. I'll park it and drive something else. So I'm more concerned about lubrication and how it looks. And this looks pretty freaking fantastic. We're sending it to you in a crappy Tolco bottle. I'm using a press-all bottle with a fancy label on it. You probably, depending on when you're watching this video, you can't get it yet, but that's your goal. You want to have it in a dual action press-all bottle. It's coming. Just be patient. The other cool thing about the press-all bottles that are coming, starting Jan 1, they'll have a 1-year warranty. You're going to be able to send us a picture, and we'll send you a new part, whatever broke. This car is a pretty darn good example to use this stuff on, because the depth of this paint is insane. And I'm a year in, so this is a coating that's been on the car for a year. Not a daily driven car, so I'm cheating there, but the trim looks fantastic, the paint looks great. I'm sure there's a few marring spots, being it's a year in. Probably in another 6 or 8 months, I'll probably polish it, do light polishing and recoat. But doing this drying aid process will help your coating last longer and work a little better. But look at how good there's just no streaking. It's freaking sick. But, you know, don't expect miracles here. If your car sucks, your drying aid's gonna suck too. So just remember that. All right, so I'll do the front clip here. Do this. Notice how much I'm spraying. just enough to cover the surface. If you put too much on, you'll just be pushing it around and it'll just annoy you. And if you go too big of an area, it'll start to dry. No big deal. You can just spray some more on, but I don't want it to dry if I can help it. I'll take my big towel, flip it around, and pretty much all of my cars, I only need one of each, assuming I don't drop it on the ground. I only need one of each of these towels to do the whole thing. Come down here, let's do this. Just treat the card in sections, that way you remember where you left off. And if you leave the product, it'll leave a, you'll be able to walk back. That's another nice thing about it. Like, you probably can't see on camera, but there's a little wipe streak right there. And so I'll just come back after I'm done. And that's a nice thing is, within an hour or so, you can just come and wipe it. Wipe off any streaks, spray a little more product on if you need to, and wipe it off. Now, here's Maddie tip of the day here. So you watched me wash the car and I didn't scrub. So I didn't scrub the front bumper. This is the time to get your bugs off. This is why I say you don't need bug removers. My bumper's coated and drying aid protected from the last time I washed. And if I have a bug, which I don't really see much, most of your bugs are going to come right off. Here's a bug etching right here, which you probably won't be able to see. Now I can be a bit more aggressive. See, that's a love bug etch there that I'm going to have to polish off later. Hopefully it's on the coating and didn't get through. And this is a classic example. Where'd it go? I lost it. It's right here. See that? That's a love bug etching. Now, because I'm coated, because it's only been a week, it hasn't been sitting there baking in the sun for a month, that's going to come off. Not going to come off now, but it's going to come off when I polish. And so that's a classic example of why I'm not interested in a 5-year coating. It doesn't matter what your coating is. You're going to end up with imperfections like that you're going to want to take care of way before the coating ever fails. But you can see the deficiency of spraying one half at a time, because now I got to come and re-wipe some of the areas I just wiped. That's another thing. This thing looks great on camera, and in about 6 months from now is when I'll feel obligated to. You'll have little etchings on the coating that you'll want to polish off, start fresh, especially on a dark car like this where you can see everything. But look at the depth and clarity of that. And a lot of that is the drying aid. A lot of that look that we're getting. To me, the drying aid, this is my favorite part of the wash process, is drying the car and inspecting it, which can turn into my least favorite part when I find things that weren't there after the last wash. But this step is, to me, what creates that depth or the wax look that I'm looking for without the deficiencies of wax. I gotta get the overspray off the windshield. To me, that's my favorite part about this, is that streaks and oversprays, if there are any, whichever you say, I can just come back and re-wipe. Yeah, I got some funky crap from a tree or something right there. It's not going to come off. So it makes me want to polish. This is why you don't do PPF, so you can look at this. It's all freaking awesome. Waffle weave towels are the best sweat wipe towels. So a large part of the reason why I removed the scent from this and the color from this is areas like this and areas like this down here, or the front bumper. When you have color, when you have a dye, especially if you have a white car, when you have a dye, especially on a drying aid like this, where it's going to run down the car and seep into the cracks, that dye, like if you ever take your front lip off or something, you're going to see it. And it may stain the paint, it may stain the clear coat, and it's going to ruin your bottle. And it also makes the product a little less stable. So it makes it, the color will separate a lot of times under, change in temperature. It's just no positive to it. There's no positive to the color. To scent, there's a color, but scent, same issue. It makes the product less stable. A lot of times, if you let the product sit like in the gallon, it'll stain your container. And it's just, there was no benefit to it. So this has no scent. Somebody was saying it smells like vinegar after it sits for a while. Yeah, I guess, but don't frickin' sniff it. What are you huffing your drying aid for? You don't want to be huffing any silicone dioxide up in your frickin' nostrils anyway. So I'm just using common sense here. Those Mormon haters out there can just say, you're just being cheap. No, I'm just removing it. It's just there's no benefit to it. At least not to me. I'm not a freaking baby. I don't need my drying aid to smell like something fancy. This is a very specific task. Now it's always fun when something smells good, but the negatives outweighed the positives, so we yanked it out. See, look at how it's just, Beadmaker, you'd have to work for this more. It wasn't particularly difficult, I didn't think. For some people, it was a little above their pay grade. But this is brainless, super simple. Spray it on, make sure you wipe it off, good to go. Look at that fender. That's freaking awesome. So anytime I say I don't like this color, when I stand here and look at it from like this angle under the lights, it's freaking reminds me of why I chose it. So this sacrificial layer, lasts a couple of weeks maybe. I don't know. Depends on what your conditions are like. To me, the most important part of a drying aid is the lubrication, because I think this step is still necessary. I don't think your car really gets as clean. I know it doesn't. Your car isn't as clean without this step, because there's still residual soap and stuff left over on the surface. Like I just talked about on the front bumper, you can attack, the bugs the bug jerky that's left over. You can take care of that. The byproduct, the negative side of doing this is I'm touching the paint again. So I touched it when I was, washing it. Now I'm touching it again. And so I am inducing some towel marring and some future potential, future issues that I'm going to have to polish off. But that's part of the deal. There is no such thing as touchless. You do touchless, you just have a semi-clean car. A little close to the door here. Closer than I'd like to be. But just take note of how much I'm using. I'm calling an appropriate amount, but I'm not calculating it. I'm just spritzing it on there and wiping it in, wiping it off. It'll do your trim really, really well. So like this black trim, make sure you spray it on there and continue to treat the trim. It'll help keep it looking like it did when you coated it. Pretty soon we're gonna have a much bigger garage. I'm not gonna be leaning against the door. Should be getting air conditioning today. So my towel's getting wet. And remember, microfiber a lot of times will actually work better when it's slightly damp. So this towel should still be pretty dry to do the final wipe. And if you really want to be anal about it, you could use a couple of, use 2 towels. Shoot, I have 20 of them in the cabinet, so I could go get another one, but usually one of each towel is sufficient. And if you'll notice, I've done away with the door jamb towel, because in the wash phase, I cleaned the jambs. And so now the jambs are basically as clean as the paint is right now. And so I don't feel the need to get a sacrificial towel to worry about that. So once I finish this door, then I'll go back and I'll use these same towels and the same drying aid to take care of the door jambs. Do the bulk with the big towel and the final wipe with the little low pile towel. So now door jambs, I'll open up. I always use this towel, do the top of the window, do the trim. I'll take my drying aid, and I'll hit the door. Big towel, like so. It's okay to get on the interior parts like the interior trim here is. In fact, it's a good thing to get it on there. I always coat my door jambs and polish my door jambs as well, so that helps to keep them clean. So if you were doing this for the first time, I would suggest you not use your fancy drying towels. Use something that is a multi-purpose that you can sacrifice. And you got a nice clean door jamb. So here, I'm not super concerned about getting drying aid in. My towel's pretty loaded up with product anyway. This jamb has all been coated. Here, and I'm not even too concerned about the water. I'm concerned about just keeping it clean, so keeping the dirt out of here. This is a jamb that I did not clean, but it doesn't get as dirty as your door jambs do. So I'm free to just wipe it like so. You see my little test garage thing there? I normally don't like this kind of stuff, weird logoed stuff, but that was so well done that I actually put it on my car. Normally I want to take the logo off. So this, if you have a Porsche, like I hope you aspire to have, this part, the drying aid works extremely well on this plastic trim. Now this plastic trim's all been coated with CSL XO, but this helps keep it looking nice. And I don't worry so much about the underside here, but the plastic, I always spray some fresh product on your plastic trim areas. So when I'm drying, I'm oftentimes overlapping a lot, and I end up hitting a lot of areas multiple times. Like I'll wipe the edge of the fenders after I close this up. Now the towel's starting to get pretty wet, so I'm about done with it. It's my little whip for my trickle charger. And that's a wrap for the paint. Let me show you the wheels and we're done. And so this is the last step I'll do, or last use of drying aid. I'll hit my wheels, which are pretty dry at this point. I'm gonna hit the surface of the wheel. It's okay if you get a little on the rotor, but you don't wanna you don't wanna spray directly on it. And I'm gonna use this 12 by 12 wheel towel. This thing is freaking incredible. I love this size because I don't tend to drag it on the ground as much as I do a larger towel. And I'm going to just dry. If you don't have carbon ceramic brakes, you'll find that even if you did a really robust cleaning, you'll still have some spots that you miss. And so this is just a good way to apply a little sacrificial layer to your coated wheels, and then also clean up any residual funk that you may have missed in the drying section. And, just help the coating last a little longer. And then the last step on the drying process is I'm always going to add a little tire dressing. This is OG tire dressing as well. I'll let that tire dressing sit and wipe it off before I dry it next time. Wipe the excess. So that's a wrap. That's the drying process. That's how you use the product. You can see, pretty simple. Don't overthink it. The better your conditions where you're drying, the better result you're going to get. Meaning, you know, a worse condition could be it's raining in the sun. You know, best condition is you're in a dehumidified, air-conditioned garage after you're done washing the car. I would not use this as a detail spray. I would use N914 diluted in the waterless wash fashion. So I don't use this as a detail spray. I only use this in the drying process to add a little lubrication, give me an extra sacrificial layer to last me a week or two. And then again, I'm going to use it on everything: glass, trim, jambs, everything, wheels. So I'm going to use it all over the car. That's one of the things I like most about this product, as well as my previous product that I was using, Beadmaker, is that I can use it on everything, the headlights and everything. So available in the Obsessed Garage store. Generally, you buy it, you're going to get it in the Tolco bottles, but it will be coming soon in press-all bottles. Remember, press-all bottles cost about $15 a piece. So to get it in this is going to be a bit more expensive, but we're also working on OG labels as well, which we should have at some point as well for our press-all bottles. So thanks for your support. Go to obsessedgarage.com. If you have any questions, hit up our guys at support at obsessedgarage.com. Hopefully this video helps you understand it, and I'm telling you, if I'm using it, I think you want it. It's freaking legit. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't. So thanks for watching. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. See you on the next one.